Good morning, everybody. We're back. All hands on deck. Everybody's here at the studio in North Palm Beach, Florida for another Earl on Cars show. You just heard my recorded introduction. We're live, as I just said, and it's kind of exciting every time we come into the studio. I know all of us still feel that little zing you get when you know that there are thousands and thousands of people out there, and Facebook and radio. I mentioned radio last. Started out that it was a half an hour radio show. We didn't know what streaming was, but now we're streaming on YouTube and all over the place. We're actually getting more calls now from outside of Florida than we get inside of Florida. We also get a few outside of the United States. So it's been quite a ride for the past 20 years at Earl on Cars. Things have changed quickly over the years, and in the past 3 years, it's been a warp speed change, and not just the automobile retail business, manufacturing, technology has exploded. It's good, it's bad, it's exciting for you consumers that are hopefully watching and listening right now. It provides a whole new set of problems, challenges. If you want to buy or lease a vehicle, the options and considerations have multiplied exponentially. And we're trying to stay on top of it. Frankly, it's not easy for us here. We've got Rick Kearney, who's a certified diagnostic master technician. I've been using that term for all these years, but the meaning of that is certainly changed drastically. For 25 plus years, Rick has been doing this, and when he comes to work today, it bears no resemblance to what happened when he came to work 20 years ago. And it's just, you got to love this. I mean, if you're in a rut, you'll never make it in the retail or manufacturing business of automobiles. Artificial intelligence, of course, let's say the first thing that happened was the internet. That really shook up things. And then we merged into super quantum computing and now artificial intelligence, and everything's going at warp speed. The car that you buy today bears very little resemblance to probably the first car you bought. I know it sure doesn't bear resemblance to my first car, 1951 Pontiac V6. No, it was a straight six. I forgot that. Now combustion engines are an endangered species. And Nancy Stewart and I are driving a Tesla right now, electric vehicle. That's quite a ride. I mean, it's you talk about excitement and something different. Try driving a Tesla Plaid, or let it drive you if you've got the courage. We don't. We're still. My latest blog has to do with that, by the way. But anyway, that's enough about us and me. Let's talk about you, because we know you've got a lot of questions and a lot of thoughts. We love your comments. I say this, it almost sounds like being...
We have a caller.
Oh, we have a caller.
Yes.
And we're going to our caller because we defer to the caller.
Thanks,
priority. Call on the telephone. Nancy will bring you right on board.
Okay, first I'm going to mention for the ladies that are listening, $50 for the first two new lady callers. 877-960-9960. We're going to go to Vicki in New York, and she is a first-time caller. Good morning, Vicki.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you so much.
It's so nice of you to call so early in the morning.
Yeah.
You've just won yourself $50.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and if you stay
My
on the phone
mother-in-law-
after we're finished talking, you can take and give Jeremy your information, and he'll pass it along to me, and I'll get that check out to you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, what can we do for you?
Okay, I have a question because I'm planning to move with my mom to Florida, to Boca Raton, and I want to know how to protect my car from the strong sun that is in Florida.
When are you moving down?
Hopefully in December.
In December? What kind of car are you looking to get?
I Actually, I'm going to drive my car. I have a Volkswagen.
Oh, you're going to drive your car all the way down?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what was your question? You're going to get a new car when you get down, or you want to know what to do to prepare your car for the trip?
Maybe one for my mom. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you can start to do your research, even before you leave online. Start researching the different dealerships and used car type of outlets down in the Boca area. But when you're in Boca, down in this area, you're coming down to a very tough area to buy a car. It's like the jungle down here. So I'm glad that you listened to the show. Boca is right, and this is for our listeners, who are not familiar with Florida. Boca is like smack dab in the middle of South Florida, in the southern part of Palm Beach County, and there's about 1 billion car dealerships and car lots around there, so you can get overwhelmed with it. Are you looking to get a new or a used car?
Maybe used.
Okay, so there's a lot of choices. I would like to point you towards CarMax to start, because of all that's like one of the few places it's a national chain, and they have national standards, and they're just it's a better place for customers. So probably look at CarMax, but you can look around. Just be aware that when you're down here in South Florida, there are tons of junk fees, surprises, dealer fees, and you don't want to get stuck with that. So just do your research, but I would recommend looking at CarMax if you're looking for a used car. That's probably your safest bet if you're not familiar with the area.
Yeah, no. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Vicky, this is Nancy Stewart. Also, in addition to what Stu said, take a look in Consumer Reports and, go to your PC rather than going into the dealership. And there's some questions, that you can ask yourself, and you can, put this knowledge into looking for the vehicle you need, and that is, the length of a warranty, or whether the car's been in a crash, and does it need new tires? So there's a lot of research you can do right at home. Do you have a computer?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. Okay, because I was going to say you could always go to the library. Also, you might want to take a look into Consumer Reports. And boy, they have a lot of information, and they have the safest cars. They have the most popular used cars. There's a lot of things you can do at home on your PC before you walk into the dealership, so that you don't get taken advantage of. Do you have any other questions?
No, that's all. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Vicki. Stay on the line and give Jeremy your information. 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, I was just saying that you make the show, and there's a good example. Someone coming into a market in Florida they're not familiar with to buy a car, and it's a challenge. As Stu pointed out, this is really the hardest lack of transparency, honesty, and anything else you can think of that makes buying a car difficult, we have in South Florida. It's highly competitive. The tactics, the sales tactics, the deception, the advertising is outrageous. However, as we advise Vicki, if you take your time, don't buy on emotion. Check with Consumer Reports. There's a huge amount of great information online. And if you keep control and don't let the car dealer control you, you can still get a good buy on a vehicle. It's really a buyer's market if you're educated. If you educate yourself and you take your time. I saw a statistic the other day. Actually, it was an advertisement to me because I'm a car dealer. And there was an advisor. There's 1 million advisors out there telling car dealers how to screw the customers and how to take advantage and sell more cars to make more money. And the headline for this email advertisement I got as a car dealer is 85% of the customers that come into your dealership don't buy the car that they intended to buy. Now, when that happens, you lose control. When you buy a different car than the one you wanted to buy, the one you researched, studied the pricing, the reliability, the cost of operation, you did all this homework. The main thing that that car salesman wants to do is switch you to a different car. Then that way you have everything that you studied and prepared for is out the window, and the car salesman is then in control. So if there's one rule that you should keep in mind, decide what car you want based on your research, and then begin looking around for the best price. Don't ever go from the car that you intended to buy to what the car salesman recommends you buy. You decide that before you go in. 877-960-9960, as we just demonstrated, that's a call, that's our direct phone line, so we will always get to you as quickly as we can. We'll stop what we're doing. So if you have to wait, you shouldn't have to wait very long, and we will get to you right away. But we also would like your text, 772-497-6530. Text numbers, 2 monitors the texts that come in, 772-497-6530. Then we archive the text, but we get to them during this show. 2 hours before the show's over, we will get to your text. We have some really good texters out there. Anne Marie comes to mind. She probably has a text in Stu's laptop as I speak. YouTube, which Rick Kearney, who I talked about earlier, our certified diagnostic master technician, he can tell you the problem you have with your car, what really is a problem, what it really should cost to get fixed, or maybe it's not such a problem at all. Maybe it's something you shouldn't you shouldn't spend the money to fix. Some problems are so minor, or maybe they're not so minor, but they're so expensive, you have to think twice about, do I want to continue with this car? Do I want to trade it? Do I want to have it fixed? A lot of questions Rick can answer with his 25 years in this business. He's one of the best technicians I know, and I guarantee you he'll be able to answer your questions. You can go on YouTube, youtube.com/Roland Cars. He monitors that channel, youtube.com/Roland Cars, and he has a following. We could do a whole show just with Rick's followers.
Yeah,
They could do a show without us because we got some guys and gals out there that make comments, suggestions, and correct us. And we love to be corrected. Not really. I don't like to be corrected, but it's good for the show. So you find out that I said something was out of line, you tell us, and we'll confess. Remember, youtube.com/Earl Cars. And, of course, the good old-fashioned phone number, 877-960-9960, 877-960-9960.
And don't forget your anonymous feedback. That's youranonymousfeedback.com.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to the phones where Susan is calling us from Fort Lauderdale, and she is a first-time caller. Good morning, Susan.
Hi there. Good morning. How are you?
We're great. Thank you for calling. You've won yourself $50 this morning, and if you stay on the line after we're finished talking, Jeremy in the control room will get your information and pass it along to me. What can we do for you this morning?
I have a question. My husband and I have a business, and we have several, most of them are Dodge Grand Caravans, but our latest one is a Chrysler Voyager, kind of all in the same family. And it is, oh gracious, I believe it's a 2022 model, but we're having problems with, it's got 2 batteries in it. So it has the main battery and then I guess an auxiliary battery. So when you're stopped at a light or something, it shuts down.
I think Rick can help you with that.
Okay, that would be terrific because we've had an issue where I think in February we had it at Chrysler dealership. The auxiliary battery has gone bad, and then it drains the main battery, and then we have to keep having the car jump. And so that happened in February, and it just recently happened again this past week. I mean, it's been going on. We just recently had the battery replaced again, but they said that both batteries were bad. So I think what's happening is the auxiliary battery is dying sooner than it should be, and it's draining the main battery. And with us having a transport business, it causes a lot of problems because it puts the van out of service for a little bit. And we took it to a different dealership this time, and they said they see it happen a lot. It's just a bad design. So I'm just very curious if he can help me.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, Rick.
Now, are these hybrid vehicles, or are they just like a start-stop technology?
Just the start-stop technology.
Okay, so wow, they went to a double battery for start-stop. That's kind of crazy there. That's thinking outside the box and into the next universe. My thoughts there, if they say they're seeing it on a lot of different vehicles, I would save every bit of paperwork that you have on that. But what it sounds like you've got happening is they've got a parasitic draw somewhere, and when you're shutting the car down, something is draining the power out of that auxiliary battery that is used for the initial startup.
Like a short circuit or something?
Yes, it's something is staying turned on, and it's drawing electricity away that it shouldn't be. And the fact that this other Chrysler dealership has said that they're seeing it often, that tells me that, yeah, there's an electrical problem. And unfortunately, Chryslers and Jeep and a couple other companies that all seem to be under that same, what's the corporation now that owns Stellantis? Yeah. They all seem to have electrical problems. I hate to say it, but you may actually, you may actually be better to start considering the idea of looking at a different manufacturer to avoid these Chrysler products because of the electrical problems that they've had.
And one thing also that you might think about, Susan, is asking for the factory technical specialist. Every make car and the dealers have ability to call the manufacturer, and they have technical specialists that will either by virtual visit or actually physically come in, check out a problem car that they're unable to fix. So I don't know if you've had the Stellantis factory experts on yet.
Yeah, and I definitely would save every bit of paperwork on all of it.
Okay, real good. And I guess the other question is there anybody besides Chrysler? So the first time it happened, we did take it to Chrysler, but I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now visiting a friend, but we live in Fort Myers where our business is. And it's a transport company. So if we take the van out of service, if we hand it over to Chrysler, they have it for several days. There's not very many Chrysler dealerships over there.
Right.
So the last time we took it to the person that always fixes our vans, who we rely on and trust, and he was the one that fixed it that time. But is there, anybody outside of Chrysler that you would recommend? I mean, obviously Chrysler, it possibly would be under warranty, but it just gets held up there for a week, 10 days. We can't have the van out of service that long.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you're looking to get it covered under warranty, you're pretty much stuck. You do have to go to the actual parent company. Outside of that, I really wouldn't know of anybody over there in that area. There's a couple places over in West Palm that I, Mike could consider have you talk to, but
one thing that just occurred to me that usually gets the manufacturer's attention quickly is the lemon law. And if you notify someone in authority at one of the Stellantis Chrysler dealerships that you intend to file a lemon law case, see, the lemon law actually goes against the manufacturer. And the manufacturer hates lemon law cases. They're time-consuming, expensive, and they're not good for their reputation. So they'll put the pressure on the dealer to put their best technicians on it, and they will also furnish factory technicians to look at it. They'll really go beyond the call of duty to fix a car before they want you to file a lemon law. But do it in writing. Email, but be sure you do it. A text would be okay, but be sure you have a record of notifying them that you intend to file for the Florida lemon law. That'll get some action, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that sounds like a great idea. I appreciate that. And we
Yeah.
do keep good records and files on our vehicles. So
As a backup, just as a short-term solution, a Band-Aid, what you might consider is see if you can find a local mechanic there that is good with electrical, and ask them simply to install what's called a battery isolator. Basically, what it is, it would be an extra step for your drivers to have to deal with, but basically, when they shut the vehicle down for the night, you would open the hood and hit a release, and it would actually disconnect the battery from the vehicle. It would like disconnect the negative terminal. So then
okay.
the battery could not be drawn down overnight. And then the next day you would simply reconnect it and it would just reboot and you would start the vehicle and go off on your way again. What this would do is it would prevent any overnight parasitic draws and let your battery still have a good charge so you'd be operational with it. It'd be a kind of stopgap measure to get you by until they can figure out what's going on with this whole fleet,
Right.
really.
okay, all right. And you said it's called a battery. That's called a battery.
It's
isolator?
a battery disconnect.
Oh, disconnect. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well,
And-
you've been very helpful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Susan, and good luck with your, finding, maybe a mechanic that you might be, might be an acquaintance, maybe a friend. It's always nice to have, a local mechanic in your back pocket.
Exactly. Somebody you can trust for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And give us a call. Let us know. Give us a call and a follow-up call.
Okay. Real good. All
Okay,
right,
Susan. Give Jeremy your information.
And by the way, the idea on that battery isolator, that was a tip from one of my YouTube guys here, Johnny.
Is that right?
Just wanted to pass credit to him.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Johnny.
Battery isolator. Yeah, thank you, Johnny. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. We are going to go to John, who's calling us from Stewart. Rick, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay.
All good.
Good morning. Good morning, John.
Good morning. I've called several times before, but I'm kind of nervous today with this call. I had cataract surgery 2 days ago, and I had to go to a post op, and I couldn't drive. So my brother-in-law comes to pick me up, and he's usually a little bit late. So I go outside, and I hear his car coming down the road. Now, he's got a brand-new hybrid with 1,000 miles on it. It's a RAV4, and it's making this noise. So I get in. I said, man, what's the noise? He said, I don't know what the noise is. He said, the people in my neighborhood, he lives in a retirement community, so people go to bed early and stuff like that. And they'll come in, and it makes noise. So we took it down to your place after my appointment. And so the guy says, well, okay. He said, it's a noise when you back up. It makes a noise, and it does make a noise because it's for people that are blind or whatever. And so he drove it, or he didn't drive it, but he did. He drove it, and he didn't hear it or something, but it still makes a noise. So he said hybrids do that.
Right.
They make a noise when they go forward. So I go and I asked the salesman. He said, no, they don't make any noise. And I'd been around Teslas before and Priuses. I didn't hear a noise like that, but it's pretty loud. It's almost.
It is. But what you were told was correct. They do make a noise when they're in the battery mode, and there's no engine sound, and it's whether it's in reverse or going forward. And Rick and I have laughed and joked around on the show a lot because people have called in about it, and it's a like a low howling, strange.
Yeah, right,
It's
exactly.
It's a very odd sounding noise, and as technicians, because Toyota kind of sprang this on everyone without telling us that they were going to do it, and we got such a shock out of it, we call it the wailing of the damned souls. And it literally it's
And you can't hear it inside your car. When you're in the car, you don't know.
No,
So-
he couldn't hear it inside,
Right.
but outside, man, you can hear it.
Well, that's how I know my wife comes
Yeah.
home. I hear the howling of the damn souls pulling up in the driveway when I'm out in the backyard. And that's how my dogs
Yeah, there
know
you
I'm coming home. So, and it's designed because when it's completely silent, you have to have some kind of noise, and it's done with a speaker. It's not a
Yeah,
it's a
that's what the guy
computerized
said.
noise. It's just so people aren't surprised by a silent car, rolling up on them in the in the parking lot.
At one time, one of the rumors that they came out with was that manufacturers were going to design this noise, but they were going to say that you could actually have a choice.
Yeah.
You could program your car to have different noises. And myself, the first one I said that they had to have
Was it bubbles?
was the sound of the old space car from the Jetsons. You know that?
Yeah.
I mean, it
Well,
would have been
I got
fantastic.
good news for you. Toyota announced that they are going in the future electric vehicles. You'll be able to choose the vehicle you want it to sound like. You can make it sound like a classic GT or.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding. You gotta be kidding. Okay, so yeah, that's so true. But the kid that helped us, his name was T, I think it was. But he had a great personality. He was knowledgeable and everything like that, And it wasn't until he actually explained it to us and stuff that I believed it, because I kept saying that. One guy said, "Well, that's something to do," and I'm behind my brother behind the guy shaking my head. No, it can't sound like that. It can't sound like that. I guess it can.
Yeah. I guess they wanted something that would get someone's attention, and the howling of the damn souls will get your attention.
Your attention.
All
All
right,
right,
thanks.
guys. Thanks a lot. I appreciate
Thanks for the
your
call.
Thanks a lot, John.
show. Sure.
Give us a call again, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. You have youranonymousfeedback.com to go to. Also, back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, let's get into some text. I know we must have at least Anne Marie's.
Yeah, let's get to that. She's got an interesting question. Hers is, based on your experience, all of our experience, what is the best built or designed vehicle ever? And what's the worst built or designed vehicle ever? And why? And I know you got some thoughts on it. I know you got some thoughts on it. And I know you got some thoughts on it. I didn't have any thoughts on it because all I know is like Toyota, so I would have said like Corolla or Land Cruiser. So I went to Reddit because they're always talking about everything on Reddit. And I know where we have a Toyota dealership and all that, but the thing that keeps coming up are just Toyotas, Hondas, and Subarus are just and in the Toyotas it's Land Cruiser, Corolla, Hondas, or the Accords, and they're speaking just in terms of just they don't have troubles and they don't break down. And you would know because you probably never see Land Cruisers.
So when you say design, you're not talking about
Beauty.
physical design.
Yeah,
You're
she's talking about
total
reliability.
design.
Yeah, like the best built engines. So she kind of tricked us with an engineering
I
question.
would say Consumer Reports would be the answer there. I mean,
But I think she's going historically. She's going of all time, like of going back.
well, the latest ones would be the best. I mean, nostalgia is one thing. I could say, a 1957 Pontiac fuel injection, but
well, if you go on the internet, that's what you're going to see. However, she did say ever. And if you say the ones in the 2023 models, you're not really answering the question.
Yes, correct.
The M1A1 Abrams battle tank.
Yeah, it's pretty tough. They just sent a bunch of those to
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Design to me, I think I'm guessing, Anne Marie, if you're listening, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were probably talking about physical design, meaning ease of getting in and out, ease of maybe the trunk area, the back seat area, the leg room.
How do you know Emery's not interested in engines?
So let's find out. We'll see what she says. She'll text us back.
Well, if you just Google that, there is a million opinions out there. There's a billion opinions out there.
My opinion, the mid 90s body style Corolla, Camry, Honda Accord, and Honda Civic, because if you watch when you're driving down the road, the traffic around you, you will see so many of those old cars still running today because they just keep going.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of
You can
Audis.
patch those back together and keep them running.
But see, there's a criteria that you like because you're a technician. But actually, when you design a car, I believe the Toyota 4Runner was rated the longest running car in the world, period. And the way it's built, it's good for 25 years or something like that. But that's just durability. and durability is just one facet of design. So
What is your opinion?
well, my opinion is that collectively and speaking generally, which you have to about design, the cars today, the newest cars today, I'd say the Tesla. I'd say the Tesla.
Well, that was actually saw that one came up.
Yeah.
That was one of the opinions they
and
said
then,
as far
and then 20 years
as how
from
it's,
now,
how
it'll
it's
be
going to run.
it'll be another make. I mean, design.
But Dad, they ask a question: what's the greatest car built ever in terms of engineering? And you don't want to answer the question. It's like
I
the car's
do.
been around for 100 and some years. I mean, Model T gets a lot of votes too.
I got
Yeah.
to answer. I got
Yes.
to answer.
Okay.
Hands down.
Okay, the Barracuda.
I know
My
it's gonna be-
Barracuda.
Really? Is that what you're going to say?
Yeah. My Barracuda. Hands down.
Where is it now? All right. So then, wait. I don't, if you want to stay any more time on Emery's text, there's a
No, I'd
part
like her
two.
to clarify.
There's a part two.
Yes,
The worst car ever
As
made.
usual, it's a very interesting question, but I think the best design car of all time, we need to fine tune that as to what she means by
Yeah,
design.
we're just having fun. But what do you think is the worst car ever made?
Oh God, I don't. I mean, Edsel. I mean,
Okay, well,
you can.
you
We
go.
could talk.
A
We could
Fiat?
talk
Well,
about that.
that's
like
why
we
she
could,
asked.
We could talk about bagels.
This is an opinion question.
Here's,
This is
here's,
not a
Don-
fact
here's
question.
what Donovan has to say on it. He says the E80, E36 BMW from the 90s with an inline six, no turbos, no crazy intake or valve timing. They'll last forever. But he says there's also a confirmed and verified Tesla Model S has been used as a taxi in Germany that has over, be glad you're sitting, 1.5 million miles
Wow. That's
on a
pretty good.
Tesla Model S.
But see, you're hung up on durability. Who wants
well,
a
hold
car
on.
that's going to
Amory
last
texted
30
us.
years?
Amory got back to
I
us.
mean, unless you're some sort of a nut, well, why would you want to keep a car for 30
Why is
years?
this a hard question? Emery got back to us.
Oh, good.
cars
And
are
she
expensive.
says yes. She's giving you a little love here. She says yeah for getting in and out, but best design for reliability is what she meant. What's the Energizer bunny of vehicles that keeps running and running? So that's where she was
All
going.
right.
That's the Toyota 4Runner.
Yeah.
But you see, what's the cars you don't ever see in the shop?
The ones that don't come in
Yeah,
much
for
anymore.
repairs. Yeah.
Tercels.
Oh wow, that's going back.
If you're going way back, I mean, like Paseo, we never see those ever anymore.
Because only 4 of them were sold.
Yeah, well, true. Celicas.
Okay.
Even that last body Celica.
All right, good.
Avalons are actually starting to go
We
by
need
the
some-
wayside
we,
now.
We need to move
Are
on,
they?
folks. Move on.
Yeah.
Move on.
All right.
Okay.
I got a text from Negan, or you got a phone call?
We have a phone
That's
call.
even sorry, Negan.
Okay.
It's not better.
Hold
but
on,
it's
you. We'll
different.
be right with you. Stu will be right with you. We're going to go to Bob, who's calling us from Lake Park. Good morning, Bob.
Yes. Good morning. Happy Columbus Day or Indigenous Day weekend, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. I wanted to talk about my dilemma with my insurance. I got some advice last week on your show about raising deductibles, and I found out that if you go to raise your deductible 100%, the savings is only 10%. So it's really de minimis. It has basically no effect on your on what you're going to pay. And then I have an interesting story. I shop the insurance around, and I have the company I currently have also writes Progressive, and they gave me a quote from them. And then I went to 2 independent agents and got quotes for Progressive. And then I called Progressive directly, their 800 number, and got a quote from them. And all the premiums, with all the coverages being equal, were different.
It's too confusing for me.
Well, Bob, let me back up and disagree with your first premise. If you raise your deductibles by $1,000 and it saves you 10% per year on your premium, it is worth it, because the chances are that you're going to have an accident and have to pay the deductible. That's de minimis. I mean, most people don't have to pay deductibles because most people don't have accidents. So it's a game of statistics and probability. And if everybody in the country were to raise their deductible $1,000 and got a 10% saving in premium, it would be good for the people that did it and bad for the insurance companies. The deductibility is a really effective way. If you're nervous about it, then you can bank you're 10%. If you're saving 10%, take that 10% monthly,
it's
put
not-
it in a
it's
bank
not-
account, and then when you save enough to cover your deductible, you're ahead of the game.
It's not 10% on the bottom line number. It's 10% on the premium for that particular coverage.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So, in other words, if you double your deductible, you go 100% more. If you have a 500 and you go to 1,000, or you have 250 and you go to 500, you're putting 100% more on the deduct, and they're only giving
If
you a
it's
10%.
if it's $1,000 deductible on collision, and you have a collision that costs $1,000, you're screwed. But if you don't have a collision, and during the time you own the car, you're collecting that 10% that you would otherwise have spent because you have the high deductible.
I looked at it, and it's really it's a very small number.
Well, we
But I
agree to
would-
disagree.
Well, okay, that's fine. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, though, I got 4 quotes from Progressive from 4 different sources with the same coverage, and all the quotes were different.
For all with the same company.
Yes. So I know you always talk about if you buy a car and you go shop the exact same car at 3 dealerships, you get 3 different prices.
Yeah, I had no idea it was the same with insurance.
Yes. And that girl that's moving to Boca Raton that called you earlier, she's not only going to have a nightmare buying a car, wait till she tries to get insurance for that car.
So I'm guessing the agents have the ability to.
No.
I have no idea. I couldn't get I could not. No one would give me an answer. I talked to a supervisor at Progressive, and they didn't know. Nobody knows.
Try Geico.
Nobody knows.
That would be a violation of state and federal insurance
thought so,
laws.
yeah.
So
I thought so.
what you
I
should do is you should call the FBI and give them the names of the people you talked to. Put them away.
No. I got the names. So I just thought it was an interesting story. The car insurance is a major part. People always thinking about buying a car.
It
I
is.
don't even have a new car. If I bought a new car, then the numbers would probably go up. Go way up.
I mean, you got a good point because we do a lot of give a lot of advice on how to get the right price and not get ripped off on the car. You can get really surprised if you don't do the research on the car insurance that you're going to need to get on that car because it's expensive, especially here in
Well,
Florida.
do you ever have that happen in your dealership?
Yeah.
Too, where
Oh,
someone
yeah.
comes in
Yes.
and they can't, and they're going to buy the car, and
Yes.
then they find out they don't.
Especially
they
with
can't
leases
insure it?
because you have to carry more coverage on a lease. And
Oh, you do? Okay.
so people who get leases are usually pretty payment motivated, and then suddenly they found that their insurance payment just got jacked up.
Okay. Well, I thought that was
Okay,
pretty
Bob.
interesting. Well, thank you very much, and you guys all have
Thanks,
a great
Bob.
week.
Thank you
Good
for
to hear from
calling.
you.
Give us a call again, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And don't forget your anonymous feedback. We are going to go to Mark, who's calling us from Palm Beach Gardens. Morning, Mark.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, Nancy, you know that usually when I call, more times than not, I'm kind of pushing the Earl's Vigilante program.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in the last couple of weeks, I've got something stuck in my head, and I might call this Earl's Vigilante Corner.
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking kind of a situation where the vigilantes can call at will and bring up a subject and create discussion. And Earl, I'll keep this very short. I was thinking about our new style headlights on most all the cars. They're made out of a plastic composite. And after it doesn't take long for them to fade out. Now, it is a safety issue because the foggier your headlights get, it diminishes your sight at night.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what is more cost-effective versus safety? I know that there is a service where the body shop or the service department can polish or kind of resurface the headlights versus putting new lenses in or new headlight assemblies. I know the headlights are expensive, but Rick, you might be better apt to answer this question. as far as the cleaning and polishing of those, I was looking to see how much that would cost and what is the expected time for them to, stay clear before you have to repolish them. So let's say twice in a period of how long, and the cost of doing that service versus putting a new lens in, which probably would last quite a bit longer than the resurfacing. Can you give me your ideas on that and approximately what the cost is for the resurfacing and how long you can expect it to last?
Approximate cost, figure about $150 for the two headlights, and expect it to last about a year to a year and a half. New headlights, well, depending on the vehicle, like my own
$50,000.
pickup, about $500 to $700 for a pair, and that's for even just aftermarket original equipment style, but aftermarket $500 to $700 easily for the pair of them.
How much for the OEM?
OEM closer to $1,000, and
Really?
yeah, they can get very expensive, and depending upon other models, like if you were to see like a BMW or something, it could be $5,000 for a pair of headlights.
So you could keep your headlights polished for 10 years before you would
Absolutely
reach the price of a new set.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of detail companies. I would say just about every single detail company out there that does automotive waxing and detailing
They hit the headlights.
has an opportunity for polishing the headlights for between anywhere from say $120 to $125 to $200. And again, it'll last a year to a year and a half before it starts to really noticeably start to fog.
It's a quick process too.
Yeah, well, it takes about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do. And once they start to fog again, you get maybe another 6 months before they start really getting foggy enough that it becomes an issue at that point.
Yeah, the main purpose, if you get me, the main purpose of the reason why I brought this subject up is because it's a subject where most all the driving consumers will walk by the front of their car and go, wow, that's getting to look a little ugly.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't really think about the fact that it hampers the safety at night. You can't see things in the road as easily and better than a clearer lens. So I wanted to bring the subject up for those drivers out there that when they see that, maybe it clicks in their mind, hey, I really need to do something about that real soon, and then I can see better at night versus just walking by and say, hey, that's ugly. You get my drift?
Well, there's also one other, shall we call it a preventative that you can do, and that is if your headlights are still nice and clean appearing, you can have a clear vinyl wrap put on the headlight itself that will reduce the effects of that and give you several years before it even begins to start to fog a little bit more than what it would have had.
Yeah, professionally speaking, I might agree to disagree with you just simply because a lot of times if you're getting a cheaper film and let's say not a 3M high grade
right
film,
you'd want to make sure to get it done quality of 3M film.
Yeah, you might be making more of a mess than it is. Earl, I'm just about done. Anyway, that's I kind of thought it was kind of cool coming up with an idea for the vigilante program and have a couple of vigilantes call in with subjects that they think about. Because I'll be honest with you, I haven't gotten a question or a concern come across my vigilante desk in almost a year. So I was just trying to think of other ways we could improve the vigilante program. But anyway, thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it, and I hope it was a subject that some of the listeners might consider to go and have them done at the dealership and to improve their safety driving at night. Y'all have a nice weekend.
Mark, before you go, I just want to let you know, you've been a great asset to Earl's Vigilantes, and we really, we appreciate the
And
work.
I think I think we do need to. I agree with you, Mark. We do need to promote the vigilante program more. We have so many things we try to cover, and we get shooting off in all different directions. But I think a core value for Earl and Cars are the vigilantes, and we need to rethink how we can promote that. So thanks again, Mark.
Yeah, thank you very much,
Yeah,
Mark.
well, I'll tell you what. I know Nancy is a big push for the vigilante program.
Yeah.
And you guys got my phone number. If you ever want to hear some of my ideas, I got some great ones.
Thank you, Mark.
So have a
okay.
nice weekend.
That sounds good. You do the same. Have a great weekend. I want to tell Sherry that I got your text message, and hopefully all the ladies are still listening. And she says that September has a great information about the best used cars right now. So that's the September issue of the Consumer Report. And Susie, thanks for your input about the Vega being the worst vehicle. We are going to go to Marty in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty.
Good morning. How you doing?
We're great. How you doing?
Excuse me. Last week you did the mystery shopping report on Al Hendrickson.
Yes.
I just wanted to tell you, I've been there. I've gotten a car there, but I was there before the pandemic hit. If you're just a rookie car buyer, you better watch out.
Yeah.
Because they are very tough. Now, it took me about 3.5 hours just to get to the right price. And if anybody's familiar with that place, you got to go up and down a staircase. So I walked out about 4 times, and they called me back 4 times to come back up the staircase. They are very, very tough cookies. And even though Earl said, I guess it's the second highest car Toyota dealership in the country, they are very, very high pressure. So in my case, I don't mind it because I go there with a price in mind. If I get the price, fine. If I don't, I just walk out. But they, they get a lot of bad raps on selling used cars.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you, the Ellen, I don't know whether you recall about the mystery shopper report and how she was kicked around pretty good. And that market adjustment, I mean, she was lucky to get out of there alive. And we've had comments like that about Al Hendrickson.
Yeah, now they had market adjustment even before the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always on their sticker.
Is that right?
Yeah, but you got to get it out of there right away, and if you're not sharp enough, and you're going to overpay.
Like you said, you went in with a price in mind.
Yeah. Now, one other thing I wanted to tell that I don't know if everybody knows this, I'm sure they do, that if you have the same car in Florida, like 2 Camrys, if one of them's owned and one of them's leased, the leased car, you pay more for the registration.
Yes.
So I don't know if people know that, but the first time I realized that, I called the DMV here, and they said, oh, that's because you didn't pay for the title when you bought the car originally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. It's a minor difference when you consider, the overall consideration of lease versus purchase can be considerable, but that's a small component. You're right; it does cost more.
Yeah, it costs. Like right now, a Camry cost, say that you own is $35 a year, and the lease in the same Camry is $70-something a year. I mean, like you say, it's not large, but to me, in New York State, it didn't make any difference which way you did it. They went by the weight of the car and the type of car, and that was it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but Florida has its own rules. But your dealership, if you're buying a Toyota, since the pandemic is here, you got to stick with Earl Stewart Toyota.
Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
All right. Well, have a good weekend.
Thank you, Marty.
Thank you, Marty. It was great hearing from you. Let me mention again Earl's Vigilantes. That's Earl's Vigilantes, and you can join the club if that's what you want to call it. And Marty called earlier, and he heads off Earl's Vigilantes, and you can help someone in your neighborhood. You don't have to know how to take an engine apart, but everyone can get together and help each other. And Marty has done just that for quite a long time. How long has Marty been with us, Earl?
Yeah.
80 years.
Yeah.
He's like 80 years.
You got my attention.
You mean he's been on Earth about 80 years. Yeah.
Jonathan would know. We've had Earl's Vigilantes for quite a long time, and you can go to Earl's Vigilantes and you can sign up. You'd be helping everyone, and a lot of people in your neighborhood. We're going to go back to the phones, and we're going to talk to Dave, who's calling us from Palm Beach Gardens. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to call and let it be known, I guess, that I've been watching online on the used cars at Earl Stewart for quite some time, usually for a Highlander or a RAV4. And I finally purchased one last Friday, so the week yesterday, and it was a very high-rated one. It was rated 96, and it had the Carfax, which showed a really good report, one-car owner, well-serviced, et cetera, low mileage. And the transaction, the salesman, Richard, was very accommodating, made the whole thing very easy, and then went to the finance department, I guess you call it, the guy who checks you out. And that was very smooth and quick. And so the whole transaction was, compared to other purchases I've made over the years, quite simple and easy. And it was, you could almost say, enjoyable, if that applies to purchasing a car.
That's
but anyway,
crazy.
I just wanted
It
to
wasn't
call
enjoyable.
And let you guys know. It was fine. It was all very good, and
great.
I appreciate the dealership and the way they handled everything.
Well, I appreciate you telling us that, and we try and set an example, and we're all blushing in here right now.
Okay. Well, yeah, I just wanted to register that, and I'll listen to the rest of the program and enjoy the show.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much, Dave. We have an interesting mystery shopping report coming up from Agent Lightning and Stu. Our number is 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We'll go back to Stu,
All right.
and then on to Rick.
I got a text from Negan. I have a visual aid I sent to Jonathan. Negan's calling about gas prices, Stu. That's what he says. $5.50 for premium in Arizona. And he sent a picture of this pump. I got a kick out of it. I just know Jonathan to put it up. It's an ancient-looking gas pump from American Gas. Looks like I don't even know what that logo is. You would probably remember it. Anyway, he says he remembers 89 cents a gallon when he was 16 in the 1980s. And he made $3.65 an hour cleaning public bathrooms. And $10 could drive him 300 miles or more 300 miles in his mom's Pinto for 3 hours to get to work. 3 hours of work now still buys me 300 miles in his Raptor, even though he makes considerably more than he did back when he was 16. So he's thinking he might need a more fuel-efficient car. Hey, I mean...
Stu, you don't remember Amoco fuel?
Okay.
Oh, that's Amoco. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Oh, it's small on my screen. You got it all
okay.
blown up. Yeah, gas prices. I mean,
That was the first
eventually.
lead-free, I think.
Amoco?
Yeah.
It might have been.
They have
Yeah.
a big sign that says the only one certified lead-free.
Yeah.
So I guess that's
It
and that's this.
was expensive, but it was lead-free.
Yeah, but back as expensive relatively, it was 89 cents a gallon for premium.
I remember my father saying, when gas prices were hitting then, he said, gas will never hit $1 a gallon because they'd have to rebuild all the pumps because they all maxed out at 99.9 cents a gallon.
That's pretty smart. I never thought of that.
And that was one, he kept saying that. And I always thought when gas prices went way over, and, right now, I've seen prices gas over $7 a gallon for regular in California.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking my father, he'd be spinning in his grave just thinking about $7 a gallon.
I think he'd just
for
be
gas.
amazed at the digital displays on the gas pumps.
I thought the MSRP on a car would never go over 10,000, and we got our Pontiac Bonneville in. That
Wow.
was $10,000.
Wow, what a statement. Hey, Rick, what was your dad paying back then?
Well, that was back in the. My father actually stopped driving about 1990, and gas then was running about 90 cents a gallon.
Mm-hmm. There you
And
go.
he just kept staring. Of course, he grew up in the Depression, and he's just staring at it like,
yeah,
no way.
His head is spinning.
Yeah.
We're on bagels. We're talking bagels.
We are. But actually, I have some business to get back to. When Vicky called earlier, I misunderstood understood her. I'm a little cloggy in my ears. And
Me too, yeah.
And she called because I had some texts. She wanted to know, because she's moving down to, and I hope you're listening, Vicky, I'm really sorry. They're moving down to Florida. They wanted to know how to protect their son. Their son, to protect the car from the sun. Not their son, the sun.
Ah.
And so, Rick, please give her some tips
Put
down
it
here
in,
in
put it
Hassan.
in the garage.
If
the
you have a
garage
garage.
is absolute best thing. Carport, second best. Wash and wax it often. And basically, that's the best you can do.
If you want to go crazy, you can do a car cover.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of people
avoid
with car cover.
parking under trees, though, because parking under trees, the tree sap, the pollen that comes off the trees, the ants and bugs that will fall off those trees and infest your cars are makes it way worse.
Only the careless ants and bugs fall.
Oh, yeah, but
Yeah, they're not
unfortunately,
paying
they're the
attention.
ones that survive, and it's horrible the way they infest. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely do it quickly. We're going to go back to the phones where, Stu, were you finished?
I'm all done. I
Okay.
hope Nikki got her answer.
We're going to go
Vicky.
back to the phones, and we're going to talk to David in Wellington. Good morning, David.
Hi, good morning. First time caller.
Welcome.
I have a 2009 RAV4, and it spent most of its life up north in Wisconsin. And recently I just had the brakes redone. And after they were done, the car makes a grinding noise just when you start out, going to the left from behind. And it seems like it goes away, and it only does it when you first start out. I've taken it back twice. They've adjusted everything, and it still does it. They said it may be the parking brake, but just when you start out, and then it doesn't do it. Like 4 or 5, as the wheel turns, 4 or 5 times as you get started.
Yep. Yeah, that could. Northern cars especially get a lot of corrosion and rust in the brakes, and the way that the rear disc brakes work on the older Toyotas like that, they had a little miniature set of drum brakes built in the center of the actual disc, and that's your parking brake. So yeah, if there's some corrosion in there, and it's when you're starting out, it's got to break that rust loose. They should pull that apart, clean up those parking brakes. You usually don't need to replace the shoes in there. Just sand them lightly and clean up any of the surfaces so that everything is nice and smooth.
What should that cost him,
And
Rick?
you'd be all right. I'm going to say probably about 2 hours labor, so about $300, $350 maybe at the most.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
You could probably get it done at an outside shop for as low as like $200. Just make sure that they're aware of what you want them to do.
I'd buy some earplugs.
That could also be the way too. Yeah.
Well, I'll turn the radio up too.
Or as silly as this sounds, one thing you might try: find an empty parking lot.
Yeah.
Your parking brake is either going to be a hand lever or a foot pedal.
Yep.
If it's the hand lever, you'll have the little thumb button on it.
Yep.
Be sitting still, push the button in, pull that hand lever up a little bit, and just let off the gas and then slowly let it down till you feel the car start to move a little bit. And it feels like it's moving with just a little drag. Just go that way for about, say, 150 feet with that drag on it from the parking brake. Just let it kind of run. And then let that brake off. Don't go very fast, just 5 miles an hour or so. Just enough to see if it'll wear it down. And it may wear out that little bit of crust.
And save $300.
And that can smooth it right out for you.
You just saved $300. Thank you. Why didn't you tell him that first?
No, I'm thinking of things as I go along here. It's a process, unfortunately. My old neurons aren't firing as fast as they ought to sometimes.
So why would it do it like first thing in the morning and then just to the left, and then it doesn't do it the rest of the day? But then the next morning, this does it again.
Yeah, one side may be adjusted a little tighter than the other, which means that left side is where you're going to get the noise. And what happens is when it's sitting overnight, the metal surface in there on the rotor will actually get a little light layer of rust on it. And then when you first start off, it's got to wear it down. And once it wears that little bit of surface off, then that noise will be gone for the day until you won't hear it again until it sits overnight again.
Okay, so I should just drive it and not let it sit.
That might be just the simplest answer, yeah.
Okay.
Call us back, David. I'm curious myself about that.
Definitely.
I want to be able to say we saved you $300. So if it works, let us know.
Yeah. Give us a follow-up call, David.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, have a great weekend. We have our mystery shopping report coming up at the half hour, and you definitely don't want to miss that. We do a mystery shop every single week so we can enlighten ourselves and everyone else out there. And you can go to Good Car, what is it?
Good car, good dealer, bad dealer?
Good dealer, bad dealer. Good dealer, bad dealer list.
List.com.
Yeah, so jot that down. That mystery shop is coming from Cox Chevrolet in Bradenton. We are going to stick with the phones, and we're going to talk to Jersey Mike. He's a regular.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, I think I mentioned this before. I'm going to do it again. It's very important at Big Dog Ranch, when you go out there, if you're a veteran, anything you do out there is 50% off, basically. So I got a dog out there, and I got a second one, and I'm going to go get the third one there. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. That's
Mike, does that? I should know the answer to this. You probably know it. If you're a veteran in the family, of course, if you're in a family and one member of the family is a veteran, then anybody in the family can adopt a dog. I would assume, because you have a veteran in the family.
That's correct. And let me say this. Also, analogous to that, in a sense it is, when you go to buy car insurance, if you go to USAA, you're going to pay about 25 to 30% less than you would with any other insurance company if you are military.
Yeah, and that's a family thing, too. I thought about that when I asked the question, yeah.
Yes.
And Jersey Mike, what you just mentioned about USSA, that is that is number one on my list.
It is.
Number one.
The best one going. I'm 77. I got through a lot of insurance, and I remember when gasoline was $39.9 for Sunoco Blue, 110 octane.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, Mike, how are the dogs working out for you?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, it's like a comedy show here.
Yeah.
They're boxers, okay? And they got a lot of energy, and they wrestle each other. I got a nice fenced-in yard. It's pretty good size, and they just run around. And I mean, it's just I don't even. Another thing too. Let me point something out to a lot of people that may not realize it.
That's amazing. The dog training program out there for the veterans. It's just it's what they do with the dog and to match you up.
That's
the
right.
personalities.
My first dog is a service dog, so I can take him anywhere. He gets his own airplane seat. Free.
Fantastic.
As long as he doesn't, get disruptive in the restaurant, I can take him anywhere I want to, and nobody can deny it.
He can't fly by himself, can he, Free?
I don't know. I don't think so. Let's go to cars. Okay? The question I have is, well, let me say this here. I've got a couple million miles under my rear, okay, because I used to do 60 to 70,000 miles a year on new Cadillacs. starting in 1970, and that's when he used to build Cadillacs. I got one from you got a Vigilante dealership. I can't think of the name of it, but I got a used one there, and they're down on North Lake Boulevard in North Lake. Got the name of the dealership down there. But in any case, this car is nothing but really a bad problem. Listen to this. The seats inside are fake leather, and they just tear apart all by themselves. Not because there's a dog in it, but just because they separate and tear.
Goodness.
I had to replace the entire radiator cooling system in that car.
Oh.
I had locks break up, lock up from supposedly rust.
You ought to look at a Subaru when you get.
That's it. Subaru's it. That's the car. I had a friend that went to Vietnam with me. That's what he had when he came out, and he never had a problem with anything. I think he put a couple 100,000 miles on that car before he passed away.
Well, their sales are soaring now, and with popularity of dogs, I mean, people are really becoming aware and loving dogs more than ever. I think it seems like almost like a psychological kind of a thing, but dogs everywhere.
What people don't know is that's a no-kill a place for dogs. It's a big place, and they don't. A lot of other places euthanize those dogs, and I think that's a horrible thing. I don't think the good Lord really wanted that to ever happen. Really.
Yeah.
Where'd you say you got the car? Don Massey Cadillac.
No. Oh, this Cadillac? No. I got it used in a Kia dealership that's down on North Lake Boulevard. I forget the name of that place. Oh, geez, I wish I could think of it. But they were basically crooks, because don't forget, an ASE mechanic goes over that car before it gets sold.
I think that's Mapleton.
That's it. Mapleton, you hit the nail on the head. Yes, that's it. Mapleton is one of the biggest shysters going. And by the way, they advertise that they're the biggest dealership in all of South Florida.
You ask anybody, they'll tell you. But that's an interesting thing. We had an earlier caller, and he says, I can't believe this guy's the second largest Toyota dealership in the world. The high pressure there, the tactics, the scams. And here's a sad state. The most successful dealers are the high pressure, tough, rough, and if you're going to be a nice guy and try to take care of your customers, you can get outsold 2-1 by the guy that'll take advantage of you. So it's a sad state of affairs.
And as much as we talked about Ashley Moody, Mike, nothing.
Yep.
I mean, Napleton is going strong, taking advantage of someone every second of the day.
You got that right.
I could tell you a story about.
I think they even go to training school to become shysters.
There you go.
Really.
Stu and I had a meeting with a guy the other day in our dealership, and I can't tell you anything more about it because I told him to listen, but I promised I wouldn't mention his name. But he's involved in the industry, and we had a few laughs about Napleton, but I won't. Don't worry. Right now he's sweating.
Yeah, we're not going to identify him.
We're not going to identify him, and we won't even identify the company. We're not going to tell you anything about that.
I understand.
Let me don't tell you that his first name is Larry.
I got a friend. You know how you've mentioned in the past it's a bad thing to buy a car in South Florida. You should go up north because then you're going to get a fair deal in some of those dealers up there. I had a very, very close friend for a long time. Went out and got a BMW used. Do you know he's gone through 20 gallons of antifreeze in that car so far? 20, and they're $20 a pop, I think. And if it's not one, his whole paycheck has been going into that car for the last 8 months. I said, listen, why don't you just go ahead and get a silver, swap it out. You don't have to. And he pays $850 a month for this thing. He's got 3 more months payment, and even those guys are shysters too, the finance people, because he can just take that car right now as it stands. And to go to a Chevy dealer, get a Silverado that could have high mileage on it. I mean, I've seen them with 250,000 miles. So if they're taken care of, you could probably swap that out and not have to buy, all these gallons of antifreeze and everything else. A turbo one on them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like ridiculous. This is German excellence in engineering. Come on, it isn't.
Absolutely.
Very valuable advice.
Let me ask you this about the BMW. No. Let me ask this about the Silverado. What would you consider reasonable mileage if you had the Carfax and you saw that it was taken care of and serviced properly, what do you think a high mileage car would be worthwhile? Because they keep on going for some reason.
Well, how late model? What year?
Well, let's say you're going to buy, say, in the teens, all right? So you say you're talking about 16 to, say, 19.
Rick, what would you say?
I wouldn't get anything over 150,000 miles because I'm one of those that I want to keep it for a long time. So I'd want to get at least another 200 grand out of it.
But the question is, in terms of, see, when you buy a high mileage car, the dealer bought that car cheaper. Whoever traded it in cheaper. So the base cost is very low. So what we're saying here is, if you can find a car with a lot of miles on it, you can buy it for a lot less. The only caveat is check the repair history. Have a qualified mechanic go over the car. So if you can find a car that's had all the factory recommended maintenance, and you do a repair check and all the rest of it, you can save a couple $1,000s on that car, and it's just like buying a low mileage car.
Yeah, pretty close.
I think if you go to Pep Boys, you get it for $99. They'll give you a 6 or 7 page report on everything that's right and wrong with that car.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that information. There was one last thing about. Oh, I know what I want to tell you. A lot of people don't know this, that you can find out what a car dealer is paying for that car because they're buying it at auction. And as far as that's concerned, all they got to do is look at Kelly Blue Book and NADA, N-A-D-A, take the two numbers in the condition of the cars, because they list them in fair, poor, bad, excellent, whatever, good, and then just take those numbers together and divide it by 2, and that's the fair value market that the dealer is trying to make money on. So
or if you can get a copy of a V Auto report, V-A-U-T-O, V Auto, that's the big name right now. Every car dealer uses it. And the V Auto not only gives you the wholesale value of the car very accurately, more accurately than Kelly Blue Book or anything else, it also gives you the market price and the geography with the zip code you're in.
Exactly, yes. It all varies.
V Auto, yeah.
Exactly right. And I don't think, hardly nobody knows about that. And one last thing I'm going to make a comment on. The county auctions off their vehicles once a year, and they have their public listing, and you can go ahead and get the full service report on it, because, I'm including motorcycles too. The motorcycles, they auction them up, and I'm a Harley rider for many, many years. When I started at 17 years old in Jersey, I've been having a Harley, and I still got one now. And the point is, you can go out there and you can buy it at the same price, if not less, than a dealer could buy it at.
Mike, that's some great advice you gave us. We got to run. We got some calls backed up, but call again. You're a great caller.
It's always great to talk to you, Mike. We are going to go back to Stu and Rick.
All right. I think I'm all caught up with text over here, but I bet you Rick's got a slew.
I've got a couple of interesting ones. First one, and this coming from Donovan, he says, the IRS yesterday released guidance on the $7,500 EV tax credit for dealerships starting in January 1st, 2024. The car buyer will be able to transfer the $7,500 credit to the dealership and use it as a down payment at time of sale. Car dealers have to register on a new website for the program. I think this is going to be a huge sales booster for the next year.
That is absolutely true. And the dealers were scared to death because they were afraid they'd have to wait 5 years to get the money, which is what happened in Cash for Clunkers. But they did negotiate or lobby 2 to 3 days to get the money. The advice that we need to give the listeners, if you're going to be buying an electric vehicle, is that you have to be aware if your electric vehicle does qualify. And if it does qualify, you have to take that into account and tell the dealer you know about the rebate, because otherwise you'll sign a piece of paper in the finance office that says you assigned the electric vehicle rebate to the dealer, and you'll never know there was a rebate. So dealers are famous for knowing about all the rebates, all the federal subsidies, all of the things that should go to the consumer, and they have a form that says, I hereby sign away my rebates and discounts to the dealer, and you never know. You sign it, the paper disappears, and the dealer's $7,500 richer.
And
you know, with
one,
the by the way, on the 7,500, you couldn't do this before with the old tax credits, but it can be done with leasing this time around. So even though because the $7,500 is going to the lessor, and they're applying that as a cap cost reduction for the consumer.
Yeah, even if you don't qualify, the lease car would qualify. So the lease car qualifies, then
that might even be better because it's
Wow. And another comment he came in with those with USAA auto insurance. That's the one that either you or an immediate family member has to be military.
Right.
He says many people are paying a lot more for insurance than other companies. Don't think that they are always the cheapest. I've talked to many people where they were a lot more expensive versus others. And yet, an interesting thing, I saw a survey done on the internet not long ago, as a matter of fact, a couple days ago, that said that USAA had one of the highest satisfaction ratings among its customers, pretty much beating out every other company hands down for customer satisfaction. So something to take in mind that maybe it is a little more expensive, but if you're paying a little extra to get that customer satisfaction, that might be worth it too.
And a lot of people don't think you don't have to be the veteran. Anyone in your immediate family, meaning someone living with you, it could be a son, daughter, uncle, aunt. If you are part of a family and you're living together, that's immediate family, then you qualify even though you're not a veteran. But that USA insurance is the way to go.
Definitely. And USAA group has an overall satisfaction score, like Rick said, at 92%. And then second, and this is all from Consumer Reports, NJM Insurance Group, overall satisfaction score 86%. And then you go down to AMCA Mutual Group, overall satisfaction score 83%. And it just there's several on there that come up at 50%, and they get lower and lower.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some information for you.
And
877.
one other quick note. Unfortunately, we probably will not be hearing from Lance today with the new song. He did text in earlier this morning on the YouTube channel. He says, "Good evening, Earl and all. I'm staying in bed today. Too much square dancing last night."
Oh, that's okay, because I had a song for Lance.
Sounds like you might add a little too much of the moonshine, too. Return debut soon to follow.
Lance.
Well, you have a song for Lance. When you've been out promenading all night long, you do-si-do, and you sang the song, but you couldn't wake up in time for Earl on Cars.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I never knew you had such a good voice, too.
Oh, my.
That cold helps.
I know. It made my voice deeper. All right.
Okay. Stu, do you have anything for us?
I have nothing for you.
Would you sing again?
Later.
Okay, Rick.
And that's got us pretty well caught up, although there were a few reminiscences here from guys thinking back when they were paying 30 cents a gallon and for fuel.
Yeah.
And I kind of laugh because I remember several times of pulling up to the gas station, go in, hand a $5 bill, and go back in and ask for change because I happened to be on my motorcycle. And it was kind of nice when fuel was only 30 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Honestly.
When you could pay for it with the change in your ashtray.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let me have my blog. Let me talk about my blog.
Your blog?
My newest blog has to do with breakthrough.
Right to the right
It's the
side of you.
breakthrough in technology that we're now going to have autonomous driving.
You have it?
And you've heard me talk about this over and over again. I can't find the blog, but it's called Breakthrough in Autonomous Driving, and it's available on Earl on Cars. And I learned about it accidentally. Here it is right here. This is what the cover looks like. I learned about it in the biography on Elon Musk. And the cool thing about that biography, Walter Isaacson wrote it. The guy's an amazing biographer. And he really got in depth into Elon's life, and he just finished it a couple months ago. I mean, he published it, and so you have current biographical information going into 2023. And at the very end of the biography, his scientist and his autonomous, endeavor to make cars fully autonomous had this breakthrough. And I mentioned this briefly last week, but all the other autonomous manufacturers are using like the radar and the laser LiDAR. Cameras were the very first that came along, and then they said, cameras, you got all these cameras on the car, that's not the way to go. You need the high-tech stuff like LiDAR and radar, lasers. And so all the other manufacturers, General Motors, Ford, all the other competitors to Tesla went that way. And even Tesla was thinking about that's the way he'd have to go. So Tesla did have the radar and the LiDAR, but he also had cameras and he relied on the cameras. Then, with the artificial intelligence, scientific discovery is going at warp speed, and suddenly there was a breakthrough. They found out that they can take the videos, and the Tesla that Nancy and I drive, the Model S Plaid, has 8 cameras on it. And they got cameras everywhere. I mean, they look at right, left, up, and down, inside the cockpit of the car, all over. And these cameras are constantly recording, even when the car's sitting there. It just keeps on recording. And when you drive it, everything is recorded. And so the scientists said, we now have, with quantum computing, high-speed supercomputers, we can take video and we can feed that into the computer, which before was impossible. And we can program the software from actual video experience. So they're taking the Teslas that have been on the road for, 10 years now, with mountains and mountains and thousands and millions of hours of video. And it's all available. That database is available to Tesla, which is not available anywhere else. So they feed that in, and they have a cadre of people that work for Tesla, and they're reviewing the video clips, and they review the video clips of the good drivers. Now, this is really cool. They take Elon Musk's instruction to the group: find me someone that you would call a 5-star Uber driver. 5 stars. If he's that good a driver, use those clips. And so the clips tell how humans react in every circumstance. What happens if there's a train wreck and the train rolls over on the highway? What happens if there's a dog runs out in the middle of the street? What happens if a woman's running a baby buggy alongside of the road? All these things that humans think about and react to in ways that a computer cannot do. LiDAR, radar can't decide what to do if the car in front of you bumper drops off in the middle of the road. And the only way you can avoid it is to go across a double line. Well, you as a human, your eyes see that there's no cars coming. You can safely cross over the double line. You're going too fast to stop to hit the bumper. If you hit the bumper, it's almost certainly going to be an accident of some kind. If you go over the double line and come back on the other side of the bumper, you're okay. So with millions of hours programmed in, Tesla will actually have a fully autonomous car that is safer than the average human driver. Yeah. It'll be as safe as the very best human driver. And that's coming out probably this year or next year. So that's breaking news.
And definitely breaking news. And you can read Breakthrough for Autonomous Vehicles. Earl on Cars. What a great read. It has all kinds of information in here that Earl just spoke about. We are going to go to John in West Palm Beach. And Dawn, hold on. We'll be right with you. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. You opened the whole can of worms with that last segment there. The reason why I called was I have a Tesla, the three, the basic. I don't have the FSD $16,000 upgrade. I just have the little, push the paddle down, and I call it cruise control. Not realizing, I found out this week that it's not cruise control. It's like autonomous driving, because as I went to exit off of 95, I had I'm going to call it cruise control because I don't know what else to call it. I had it on. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to put my foot on the brakes. I'm just going to let the car continue doing what it's doing. It navigated the turn, slowed the car down to 25 because the camera saw the 25-mile speed limit. There was a car in front of me, so that distance monitor was also enacted. And I just left the cruise control on, and it navigated the exit, the off-ramp, continued on PGA, and calculated the speed limit, and the car just continued on cruise control, and I never touched it. And I just left it on.
Sounds like you saved $16,000.
It was incredible. So that was the first thing
It's amazing.
That's my initial call, and then it just escaped me. Why the second thing that you just brought up was I can't think. That's why I called.
It's interesting. That feature you're describing, it's becoming very it's common on a lot of manufacturers, and they have different names for it. Toyota calls it lane trace assist, and it's not quite up to the full Tesla thing, but it will steer the car, keep in the center of the lane. If traffic comes to a stop, it'll stop the car. When the traffic starts again, it says wait, and you have to give it a little nudge with the accelerator, but then it will resume. And so it's kind of close. So a lot of the manufacturers, people are getting used to it in a very slow way to autonomous driving without even being realized it, because there's all these little things that the car is doing to help. It's called these active safety measures. Even when a lot of cars have where it nudges, if you cross the line, if you drift out of the lane, it'll nudge you back in there.
Right.
That's a form of autonomous driving.
Now I remember why the second part, we were talking about the cameras. If there's any lawyers listening, and I've always got this on mine, they need to, if I was a lawyer, I'd always be asking, in traffic accidents, were there any Teslas around? Because they're recording everything.
Yeah.
We were in Orlando. We went to an event that night in the parking lot. If you had a pickup truck, your truck was broken into. They smashed out the back window because they were looking for guns. So the police officer, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's what time I wake up. He asked me, do you own a pickup truck? No. He says, well, okay. I said, why? He says, because if you did, it was broken into because they were looking for guns. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out to my car and I'm going to check the cameras for them. And sure enough, and so it was recording, and it picked up parking lot activity that, around the car and they happened to get
that's great.
Something. And people need to remember that if they witness an accident,
Look
it's
for
recorded.
the Tesla. Yeah, look for the Teslas. That's great.
We have a bus stop that's before the intersection, and the people standing there, they're waiting for the bus, but they're also blocking my view of oncoming traffic because they're standing, and I can't see around them. I have to edge out farther and farther to see if traffic is clear. I'm so glad this camera's recording, because if I should ever get in an accident, I've got my proof there that they were they were the obstruction. I wasn't the one at fault because I couldn't see.
It's got you covered.
Amazing, John.
Got you covered.
John, thanks for sharing all that with us. It's a very interesting conversation. We're going to run. We have a couple of calls backed up. Stay in touch. We love talking to you. We're going to go to Dawn in West Palm Beach. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning.
Welcome.
I talked to Rick about that I have a 21 Toyota Sequoia Platinum and having issues with the car dropping the call, and I brought it up to your dealership with, I think Travis was a service writer, and Rick had said that they needed to possibly with a 2021 that they had maybe an update on the programs or whatever in the car. I've also taken my hearing aids as well to the hearing aid place that I've been dealing with for over 30 years. And my son-in-law had my phone and the computer and the car and his computer, and did a few little changes. It still does what it had done before, and the 29-year-old granddaughter said that back in 2021, they were having a hard time getting the proper chips for vehicles or chips, period, and that the car could possibly have some wrong chips in it that are causing the issues.
That actually would be unlikely, because Toyota wasn't, when they had issues with chips, it was more with the engine computers. The stereo systems really weren't the biggest issue that they were having, because the stereo systems come from Fujitsu, Panasonic, and a couple of others. If you're still having issues with the calls dropping, the next step really is you'd have to verify the update on your phone and make sure that that's been updated properly.
Well, that's what you told me before, and I told you at that time it had the 16.1 update on the iPhone.
Okay. And what model of iPhone are you running, if you can remind me on that one?
It's a 12 Pro.
Okay, that's one you may want to check on also. I don't know if I'd asked you that before to check on that. Toyota has had an issue with some of the iPhone 12s, and there may be a special update available, or there were some models that I don't know if they ever got them worked out on the issues with the iPhone 12. That was a thing between Apple and Toyota.
Well, but I never had the problem with the 2008 Toyota Sequoia Platinum.
Right, because it was an older system. The radio system on it was an older system, and the newer every time that they come out with a new model on these, things get changed immensely, and it's almost like having a brand new computer system. One thing you might consider is check with Apple support and see if Apple's got any information on updates for you. It's
okay.
Let me look up that little number real quick here. Where did I just see that? I'll bring this up here. 1-800-APLCARE, Apple Care.
Okay, I am driving. Let me pull up here. I will write that down for the senior moment. You said 1-800?
Yes, it's 1-800-A is in Apple, P is in Paul, L is in Lima, and then CARE, Apple, APL, Care.
Okay.
And that's Apple's support number.
Okie dokie.
Okay, Don, you have all the information you need?
Well,
We're going to have to run.
I hope so. I thought it had been taken care of, but on a...
Well, Don, let me interrupt you for a second. You're breaking up. Let me give you a suggestion. If you have any other questions, you can text them at 772-497-6530. We enjoy talking to you. Have a great weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to mention before we go to the mystery shopping report that Big Dog Ranch has a major event at the end of the month. Therefore, they're working pretty hard on that, and there will not be a Dog of the Week here via a video from Natalie. Major adoption event at the end of the month out at Big Dog Ranch, so you might want to take advantage of that. We are going to go to our mystery shopping report right, Earl?
Right.
And that mystery shopping report came to us from Cox Chevrolet in Bradenton, and Agent Lightning did another fabulous job, and so did Stu.
Before we
Earl?
get to that, though, it's like our dog of the week. In case anybody was wondering, we have to skip it this week because they got too much going on at Big Dog Ranch Rescue. So we'll pick it up next week with another dog if you're missing our
Yeah,
videos.
Natalie will be back here again, via video next week. So take advantage of that major adoption event that they're going to have at the end of the month. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay, Cox Chevrolet in Bradenton. Bradenton, for you not familiar with that part of Florida, is up in the Tampa, St. Petersburg area.
Clearwater.
Kind of Clearwater. It's kind of a small town, kind of an atmosphere. And the reason I mention that is because I talk about Florida and the corrupt car dealers. Most of that is in the South Florida. The further north you go, the calmer things get. Not to say that they don't have some issues in northern Florida, they do, but the smaller the town, we've found usually the nicer the dealer and the more transparent. We'll see if that holds true for Bradenton, Florida. Speaking as if I am Agent Lightning, our ace female mystery shopper. She just does an amazing job. I arrived in the late afternoon. As I entered the dealership through the front door, I was greeted by a salesman. Though he didn't introduce himself, his name tag read Zach. I think that's the second or the third Zach we've
There's
had.
lots of Zachs. Very popular name.
Zach,
This
yeah.
guy's probably 25 years old.
I like Zach, yeah. After exchanging greetings, I inquired about the availability of Malibus. Zach asked if I had been in contact with anyone at the dealership previously. Since I hadn't, he offered to assist and invited me to the desk to gather more details. Now, that's a courtesy that in South Florida, when you walk into a dealership, there's a wolf pack, and they run toward you, and you run the other way. I'm only kidding, but it's a lot of salesmen, and they're fighting to see who gets there first, and there's not a courtesy, and so you can see it right away with this first experience. The salesperson was courteous enough to want a salesperson who had already spoken with you, maybe given a lot of his time or her time to help you on the phone or by text or email, give him the benefit of the commission if you decide to buy a car. So he was courteous, and that was something you don't see in Fort Lauderdale or Miami. So just a heads up. Once seated, Zach got right to business. What's your name? What's your credit score? That's pretty direct. That's something. Zach, if you're listening, I'm being facetious. Zach probably is
not.
listening, but you don't ask a person their credit score. You dance around that and let them volunteer the information. Yeah. But that's like,
when I was trained to sell cars, the question Dale Cook told me to ask, he was my old trainer.
Yeah.
He said, who did you finance your current car with? And they go, oh, Bank of America. And then you say, oh, how did you like them? Uh-huh. And if they had problems with it, they go, oh, they're a pain in the asses, whatever. So.
Yeah, very clever. Yeah, Dale was a smart guy. So what's your credit score? Are you looking to lease? Another qualifying question. I clarified more likely to buy, reiterating my question about the Malibus. Zach informed me they just received a shipment. So as I've said in the past 2 or 3 weeks on the show, inventories are building, and Chevrolet inventories are building in spite of the UAW strike.
Chevrolet inventories are built.
Are built, yeah.
I think they're at pre-crisis levels.
So the setting is there for getting a good buy. You can save thousands of dollars today if you do the right thing, and you listen to what we advise on this show compared to a year ago. And it was purely a seller's market a year ago. Today, it's become somewhat of a buyer's market, particularly with GM and Jeep and some other cars that have what we call a high day supply. And that means 60-day supplies mean if they sold every car they had, it would take them 2 months to get rid of them. 2 years ago, there was a 0-day supply. They had no cars. So here we are, and you can actually get a pretty good deal. He inquired about color preferences, and I mentioned my preference for white and a basic trim level, explaining it would be for an Airbnb property. That's interesting.
Yeah, I always like her cover stories.
Yeah, a great cover story. So apparently she's suggesting that she's thinking about buying a piece of real estate that she wants to rent out via Airbnb, and then maybe furnish it with a car to enhance the value of the Airbnb property. Very clever. I also emphasized that we wouldn't be making a purchase until after the closing on the property, and don't run any credit checks until then. So that's a great premise, and a lot of people feel that when you run a credit check, it's going to affect your credit. We could talk about that on another show. That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
Zach understood and stepped away briefly to fetch the keys. Upon his return, we headed outside to the Malibus. We found a new 2024. That's right, folks. There's a lot of 2024s.
That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Malibu LS with an MSRP of $28,415.95.
I haven't seen that either.
There's also an addendum. Got an addendum, folks.
In Bradenton, there's an addendum.
We're seeing some cars without addendums these days, so keep that in mind. And also, by the way, the Madroni label, I'm presuming, was on the side of the car, and it wasn't in the back seat, as you'll find in South Florida. So we're seeing a lot of signs that we're in a small town dealership. But here's an addendum. It added $1,995 for the Cox Florida equipment. That's a nice spend, Florida equipment. And that's the addition over the MSRP, $1,995, which included window tint, door edge protection system.
Which I had a chuckle when I read that. Those are door edge guards, the little plastic things, but they're calling it
a protection system.
A system.
Yeah, it sounds a lot more expensive protection system, and then nitro-filled tires, the famous or infamous nitrogen, which is worthless, and a pulsing stop lamp system, all for $19.95. Now
I can address that.
Yeah, I was going to say that having your brake lights flash would be a violation of Department of Motor Vehicles or an HTSA.
It is in Florida,
Yeah.
but it's sold. You'll see them out there on the road. Their argument, and I don't know if people are getting pulled over or not, is that it doesn't cut off and turn on rapidly.
But it's distracting.
Right. It's supposed to be distracting. It's supposed to get your attention when the car's in
But
front of you.
that's not good. You if you have something.
Well, I'm not in favor of these things because our good friend that we know sells and distributes these things. I can tell you it's about $5 a piece.
Yeah.
It's a little wiring thing that you hook on the wiring harness back.
No, it's been around for a long time. And when I 40 years ago when I heard about it, I immediately decided I wanted to try it, but I checked that it was illegal. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our friend came back around and tried to do it again, and we had to send him away.
Okay, the salesman, Zach, highlighted the safety features. We embarked on a test drive. Our conversation was a mix of small talk and my questions about the various trim levels. By the end of the drive, I was convinced this car was the right choice. Back at the dealership, as we settled at his desk, Zach explained that all their cars come equipped with the Cox Florida equipment. So he's
selling
anticipating resistance here. All cars come equipped. He avoids the question, can I have one without the Florida equipment? No, you can't. This package priced at $1,995.95, includes lifetime window tint, door edge guards, lifetime nitrogen top-offs. A lot of people don't realize that the air you breathe is almost completely nitrogen. A little bit of oxygen and a lot of nitrogen. So you don't want to buy it. You don't want to buy it, put it in your tires. You could just blow your tire up yourself, and you would have nitrogen. And a pulsating, flashing stop system in the rear to reduce the risk of rear-end collisions. He then inquired if I wanted an out-the-door price, to which I agreed. Zach soon returned with a price sheet, but before presenting it, I noticed an error. The error was $3,000 for the accessory package, which they just quoted $2,000 on. So it should be $1995.95. He excused himself.
Hold on a second. My friend Matt was over when I was working on this, and he said, "Do you think that was a kind of like a little ruse to appear honest? He came out. Look, I just caught a big mistake for you. I'm honest. Trust me from this point on." I said, "Maybe."
But it's possible.
Maybe.
Possible. I don't think they're smart.
No, I think it was a screw up.
In that area. It should be, okay. Upon returning a few months later, he cheerfully remarks on catching the error before I did, eliciting laughter from both of us. So I guess the best way to get rid of that is just laugh about it. But I mean, it's not professional. I don't think it was dishonest. I think it's just sloppy. The worksheet had a top line of $26,420, to which was added a $7.99 ProcDoc
junk fee
processing documentary fee. The fancier, the more legalese you can make these names sound, the more gullible people are to them. $637 in government fees, which Stu commented was a little steep. I agree. They included the Cox Florida equipment and the line labeled accessories for $19.95. Out the door, I was at $31,717. I then asked about possible rebates or discounts, but Zach was quick to note that the price already reflected their special internet pricing. Although I didn't verify this at the moment, it was consistent with what I saw online. Now, in some dealerships, the further south you get, when I asked about possible rebates or discounts, the answer would have been, if I can get my manager to come off the price a little bit, will you buy the car today?
Yeah.
Or the manager would come.
I'm confident they'll work with you on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we'll work with you. So it's a little country, which is good. And country means laid back and more honest in this particular case. I expressed my gratitude. I mentioned I'd be in touch later. Overall, the dealership experience seemed to be free of any undue pressure, meaning they didn't follow me out the car. The manager didn't say, listen, take the car to your husband, or he didn't say, I'll take the car to your husband. I mean, you wouldn't believe what you will encounter the further south in Florida you go. You get into Fort Lauderdale, Dade County, you need to be fully armed or have a bodyguard.
I like the one where the salesperson asks, if it is a female, and which this is, you mean you can't make all the decisions?
Oh boy!
You need to get with your husband.
There's some women you don't want to say that to. You risk life and limb.
That's right.
One of them sitting right next to me right now. I won't mention any names, but
who, Rick?
Yeah.
All right, I got Jonathan in Palm Coast. He used to text us from Delray. I give this dealership a C. The overall experience wasn't horrible. However, the 1995 protection system and nitrogen in the tires cost them a better grade. Now, I agree. I was thinking about this. I know we grade on a curve, and I was thinking, well, maybe we shouldn't judge a Bradenton dealership on the South Florida curve. So in that case, they would get a bad grade. But
you can buy the car in Bradenton even if you live in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
So this is one of the cool things today about online purchasing. You can buy a car online. How much does it cost to get a car out of Bradenton, Florida? You
would just drive that. That's not even that bad of a drive.
They'll deliver it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you could probably work that in.
There are dealers that will deliver car.
We
At our dealership, we deliver cars free anywhere in Florida. A lot of dealers recognize the fact that people are buying further and further away to get better deals.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to give them a B minus. I can't be too.
A B?
B minus.
Okay, B minus. Okay. Rick?
Okay. Let's see. First channel, nothing coming in just yet. Here we have Johnny Z. Fradley says, fees, and F for me. Oh, some of our crew are hard-nosed.
Yeah.
Brian Sedlatko says, government fees? Really? D minus. For me, I think I'm going to follow Stu's advice here, and I'm going to go with a B on it. I don't think there was anything too outrageous. A little pushy. That protection package, a little hinky there, but they should. If the customer says they should just knock that $2,000. Say, forget it. All right. Well, there's what's the actual value there? About $50 to the dealership.
Yeah. I think a lot of the voters react viscerally to insulting their intelligence. I know that every time I hear nitrogen, it just gets me angry.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's it leaves it open to investigation. Nitrogen, the consumer, the buyer has some responsibility to check things out. And all you have to do is Google nitrogen in tires. It'll take you right to Consumer Reports, and they'll say, we tried it out, and it's totally worthless. So, people, when they think they are treating them as if they're doofuses, they tend to get angry and get bad grades.
I agree. And, come on. Lifetime nitrogen top-offs, please. This lifetime window tint, please. For me, I give them a D minus.
And we just had a bunch more pop up.
Yeah, that's some coming.
I think the internet was running a little glitchy slow for a second there. Tim Gilliland says, lose the accessory package and it wouldn't be terrible. D. Mark Smith says C. Tom Steckel says D minus. Fees are ridiculous. We need to support the A dealers.
I agree with that.
There you go.
Mark chimes in with a B minus, and I have a C minus from someone. So make your decision.
Yeah. I'm going to give them a C. I think, to me, that's about an average dealer. And if we have time, I just want to mention, I know a lot of people love Jeeps, and I love Jeeps. They're really cool looking. They don't have the quality that appeal to me, but if you want to buy a Jeep, now's the time. The inventory is building up. They have a very, very high inventory, and sales are dropping. And Stellantis, the manufacturer Jeep, I always think of them as Chrysler, but the Jeep manufacturers are worried because they're up to their eyeballs in Jeeps and nobody's buying them. So if you want a Jeep, you can find a huge selection and just work all the Jeep dealers against each other and just beat them down, and you can steal a Jeep today. I'm saying that you can really get a good buy on a Jeep.
It's a shame that Marty doesn't like Jeeps. Marty would go down there and terrorize a Jeep dealership.
Well, quality-wise, they're terrible. I wouldn't buy one because they don't hold up, but they're beautiful. They've got to be fun to drive.
Yeah.
They've got sex appeal.
Yeah.
And even now you see them all with. Now they got all the rubber ducks lined up on the windshield in the Jeeps where people are doing that thing. And did you know that now there's actually a push for Toyota owners where they are doing the same thing with little toy Yodas, the Yoda from Star Wars, with a little paper tag on it. Says, hey, I like your Toyota. If you like someone's Toyota, buy some of these and pass them on to their Toyotas.
There you go.
And it's this silly little thing, but it's kind of like passing a message saying, hey, you did some nice things dressing your Jeep up and making it customized and look cool.
Yeah.
It's
You also got
pat
that-
on the back.
There you go. Also a rugged look, and sales are, they've slipped a bit, 1.3%. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of the show. We certainly do appreciate you joining us every Saturday morning, and happy Columbus Day, and a thank you to Jonathan for that backdrop, those beautiful autumn leaves. I feel like I'm up in New York. Thank you, Jonathan. Everyone else, stay tuned next week at the same time, and we'll be right here from 8 until 10 o'clock. Have a great weekend, everyone. Happy Columbus Day.